35F, sitting in my sister's guest room right now, shaking as I type this. 6 hours ago, my husband Zachary, 38M, called the police on me during an argument and had me handcuffed in front of our 7-year-old daughter. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7. The house we live in, our $320,000 home, I helped buy it with $80,000 from my savings before we even got engaged, but it's only in his name because his credit score was better for the mortgage rate. That decision nearly destroyed my life today. We've been having problems for months. Zach's been secretive about money, dismissive when I ask about our finances, and increasingly controlling. Tonight I found out why. I was doing laundry and found a receipt in his pocket, dinner for 2 at an expensive restaurant last Tuesday. I was working late that night. The receipt was for $180. When he came home, I asked about it. Zach, can we talk? I found this receipt. What receipt? Dinner for 2 at Romano's, Tuesday night. I was at the office until 9 p.m. Oh, that! Business dinner with a client. A client? Your company doesn't do client dinners. You work in software development. Isabella, you're being paranoid again. It was work-related. I'm not paranoid. I'm asking a reasonable question about a $180 dinner I didn't know about. And I answered it. Drop it. No, I won't drop it. We agreed on transparency with finances after the credit card incident last year. That's when he exploded, started yelling about how I'm controlling, how I question everything he does, how he can't breathe in this marriage. I stayed calm, which made him angrier. You know what? I'm done with this interrogation. You need to leave. Get out. Zach, this is our house. I'm not leaving. Olivia's asleep upstairs. This isn't your house. Your name isn't on anything. I put down $80,000 for this house. I have the bank transfers to prove it. Prove what? That you gave me money? That doesn't make it yours. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 5 years of marriage, and he was acting like I was a stranger who'd overstayed her welcome. We're married. That money was for our home. Well, legally, it's my home, and I want you out. I'm not leaving my daughter. Watch me make you leave. He grabbed his phone and called 911, told them his wife was refusing to leave his property, that she was becoming aggressive and making threats. I just stood there in shock, listening to him lie to the dispatcher. 10 minutes later, 2 police officers showed up. I answered the door. Ma'am, we received a call about a domestic disturbance. Are you Isabella Martinez? Yes, but there's been a misunderstanding. My husband called you, but I live here. And where is your husband? Zach came up behind me. Officers, thank you for coming. My wife is refusing to leave when I've asked her to. She's been aggressive and threatening. Sir, what's your relationship to this residence? It's my house. I own it. She's not on the deed. The officer turned to me. Ma'am, is that true? Are you on the deed to this property? No, but I'm his wife, and I contributed $80,000 to the down payment. I have bank records. She gave me money, yes, but that doesn't give her ownership rights. The officers looked at each other, then at me. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step outside. Why? This is my home. Just step outside, please. We need to sort this out. I stepped onto my own porch, and Officer Rodriguez put his hand on my shoulder. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to put your hands behind your back. Are you serious? For what? Standard procedure in domestic disputes, just precautionary. He handcuffed me, on my own porch, in front of my 7-year-old daughter, who had woken up and was looking out her bedroom window. The look of terror on Olivia's face will haunt me forever. Ma'am, have you been drinking tonight? No. Did you threaten your husband in any way? No. I asked him about a receipt. Check my bank records. I put $80,000 toward this house. Officer Rodriguez went back inside. I could hear muffled conversation, then Zach's voice getting defensive. 5 minutes later, both officers came back out. Ma'am, we've reviewed the situation. While you may have contributed financially to this property, your name isn't on the deed. Legally, this is his residence. However, as his spouse, you have residency rights that can't be violated without a court order. The officer turned to Zach. Sir, you cannot unilaterally remove your wife from the marital home. If you want her removed, you need to go through the courts. So what am I supposed to do? You can stay, you can leave, or you can work this out. But we're not removing her. They uncuffed me, but the damage was done. Olivia was crying upstairs, and I was humiliated in front of my neighbors. After the police left, Zach was furious. "This isn't over, Isabella. You'll see." I packed a bag for Olivia and myself and left. Couldn't bear to stay in a house where my own husband had me arrested. We're at my sister Natalie's now. Olivia keeps asking why Daddy called the police on Mommy. I don't know what to tell her, but I know one thing: this marriage is over. Nobody who truly loves you would ever have you handcuffed in front of your child over asking about a dinner receipt. Nobody who respects you would try to throw you out of a home you helped buy. I'm calling a lawyer tomorrow. This ends now. Things have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. First, let me thank everyone for the support and advice. I've been taking screenshots of everything and keeping detailed records like you suggested. The day after the police incident, I went back to the house to get more clothes for Olivia and myself. I used my key, but Zach had changed the locks. I called him. "Zach, you changed the locks?" "It's my house. I can change the locks if I want." "I need to get Olivia's school clothes and her stuffed animals." "Should have thought of that before you left." "I left because you had me handcuffed in front of our daughter." "You left because you knew you were wrong." I hung up and called my friend Jocelyn, who's a teacher and has dealt with custody situations. She suggested I document everything and get legal help immediately. I took photos of the changed locks, then went to see Monica Wright, a family lawyer my neighbor Mrs. Henderson recommended. Monica was furious when I showed her the bank transfers proving my $80,000 contribution. "This is a clear case of financial manipulation. That money creates a constructive trust. You have significant equity in this property. But his name is the only one on the deed. Doesn't matter. We can prove your contribution and your reasonable expectation of ownership. We're filing an emergency motion today." We filed for temporary custody of Olivia, temporary spousal support, and exclusive use of the marital home pending divorce proceedings. The hearing was set for the following day. That night, around 10 p.m., I got a call from Mrs. Henderson. "Isabella, dear, I think you should know. Zach had a woman over tonight. She arrived around 8 p.m. and is still there." My blood ran cold. "Are you sure?" "Positive. Blonde woman, maybe mid-30s. They were on the back patio drinking wine." So there it was. The $180 dinner, the secretiveness, the sudden desire to have me out. It all made sense. I thanked Mrs. Henderson and immediately texted Monica. The next morning at the hearing, Judge Williams reviewed our emergency motions. Zach showed up with his own lawyer, looking confident. "Mr. Martinez, the court sees that Mrs. Martinez contributed $80,000 to the down payment of the marital residence. Can you explain why her name isn't on the deed?" "Your Honor, my client's credit score was superior for mortgage purposes. The decision was purely financial." "Your Honor, we have email evidence showing my client's expectation that her name would be added to the deed after marriage. This never happened, despite repeated requests." She presented printed emails where Zach had promised to add me to the deed after we get settled and when we refinance. 5 years of broken promises. "Mr. Martinez, these emails suggest your wife had a reasonable expectation of ownership. Why wasn't her name added?" We just never got around to it." You never got around to adding your wife's name to the deed of the home she helped purchase in 5 years of marriage? "Your Honor, we also have witness testimony about Mr. Martinez bringing another woman to the marital home while excluding his wife." Zach's face went white. His lawyer whispered frantically in his ear. "Mrs. Martinez, given the evidence of your financial contribution and your husband's questionable priorities, I'm granting temporary exclusive use of the marital home. Mr. Martinez, you have 24 hours to vacate. I'm also granting temporary custody to Mrs. Martinez with supervised visitation for Mr. Martinez pending a full custody evaluation." Zach exploded. "This is insane! It's my house!" "Mr. Martinez, control yourself. Your wife's $80,000 contribution combined with 5 years of marital residence and your failure to add her name as promised, creates sufficient equity interest for this temporary order. We got the house back. That afternoon, I changed the locks and installed security cameras. Olivia was so relieved to be back in her own room. But Zach wasn't done fighting. Yesterday was supposed to be his first supervised visit with Olivia, scheduled for 2 p.m. at a local family center. He never showed up. Instead, at 3 p.m., he showed up at our house with 2 men I didn't recognize. I watched through the security cameras as they tried various ways to get inside. One of them suggested breaking a window. I called 911 immediately. "What's the nature of your emergency?" "My estranged husband is trying to force entry into my home with 2 other men. I have a restraining order." "Are you safe? Do you have somewhere secure to wait?" "Yes, I'm locked inside with my daughter, but they're trying to break in." The police arrived within 6 minutes. Different officers this time, Officer Brooks and Officer Thompson. They found Zach and his friends in the backyard, attempting to remove the air conditioning unit. "Sir, what are you doing here?" "It's my house. I'm retrieving my property." "Do you have documentation showing you're authorized to be here?" Zach's confidence faltered. It's my house. My name is on the deed." "Sir, we need to see some identification and any court orders you might have." I came outside with the judge's temporary orders and my identification. "Ma'am, are you Isabella Martinez?" "Yes, and this is my temporary exclusive use order from Judge Williams." Officer Brooks read the documents, then looked at Zach. "Mr. Martinez, this court order gives your wife exclusive use of this property. You're not authorized to be here." "That's impossible. I own this house." "The court order supersedes property ownership in domestic relations cases. You need to leave immediately." "This is theft. She stole my house." "Sir, if you don't leave voluntarily, we'll arrest you for violating a court order." Zach finally left, but not before screaming at me in front of the officers and neighbors. "This isn't over, Isabella. You'll regret this." I got it all on camera. That evening, my phone started ringing. Zach's mother, Dorothy. "Isabella, how could you steal Zachary's house? That poor boy has nowhere to go." "Dorothy, I didn't steal anything. I contributed $80,000 to buy this house." "That was a gift. You can't take back a gift." "It wasn't a gift. It was my contribution to our family home." "You're destroying this family over money. What about Olivia?" "What about Olivia? Zach had me arrested in front of her. He missed his visitation to try breaking into the house." "He's upset. You stole his home." I hung up. 10 minutes later, my own mother, Carmen, called me. "Mija, Dorothy called me. Is this really about money?" "Mom, it's about respect, about keeping promises, about not having your own husband call the police on you." "But maybe you should think about Olivia. Children need their fathers." "Olivia needs stability. She needs to see that mommy won't be treated like a stranger in her own home." Sometimes marriage means compromise, Isabella. You don't compromise with someone who has you arrested for asking questions. The community reaction has been mixed. Some neighbors clearly think I'm being vindictive. Others, especially the women, have been incredibly supportive. Mrs. Henderson brings Olivia cookies. Jocelyn comes by every evening to check on us. But I've lost some friends. People who think I should work it out and think of the child. As if staying with a man who would manipulate the legal system against me is somehow better for Olivia than showing her that women deserve respect. My coworker Ashley pulled me aside at the office yesterday. "Isabella, I heard about what happened. Are you okay?" "Getting there. It's been rough." "Look, I don't want to overstep, but my sister went through something similar. The whole his name on everything situation. She told me to tell you, document everything, and don't let anyone convince you that fighting for your rights makes you the bad guy." "Thank you. I needed to hear that." "Also, management's been asking about you. They know you're going through something, and Sarah mentioned you might be interested in the senior marketing director position that's opening up." "Really? I've been putting that off for years." "Well, maybe it's time to stop putting yourself last." That conversation stuck with me. How many opportunities had I passed up because I was trying to be the supportive wife. How many times had I made my career secondary to Zach's comfort? The full custody evaluation came back yesterday, and it's better than I hoped. Dr. Patricia Ramirez, the court-appointed psychologist, spent weeks interviewing both of us, Olivia, and various witnesses. Her report was damning for Zach. Mr. Martinez displays concerning patterns of financial manipulation and emotional control. His decision to call law enforcement on his wife during a routine marital discussion suggests a willingness to weaponize authority figures for personal gain. Most troubling is his apparent inability to recognize how his actions affected the minor child, who witnessed her mother being handcuffed. Mrs. Martinez, by contrast, has maintained stability for the child throughout this difficult period. Despite provocation, she has not attempted to alienate the child from her father and has encouraged the relationship within appropriate boundaries. Dr. Ramirez recommended I get primary custody, with Zach having supervised visitation until he completes anger management and co-parenting classes. But the real victory came in divorce court yesterday. Monica presented our case beautifully. Bank records showing my $80,000 contribution. Email evidence of Zach's promises to add me to the deed. Witness testimony about his affair. Video evidence of his attempted break-in. Zach's lawyer tried to argue that my contribution was a gift and that I had no legal claim to the house. Judge Williams wasn't buying it. Counselor, your client accepted $80,000 from his then-fiancée for the express purpose of purchasing a marital home. He promised repeatedly to add her name to the deed. She contributed to mortgage payments, utilities, and maintenance for 5 years. This creates a constructive trust. Furthermore, Mr. Martinez's attempt to unilaterally exclude his wife from the marital home, followed by his attempted forced entry, demonstrates a fundamental disrespect for both the marital relationship and court authority. The settlement: I get 60% equity in the house. We can sell it, or I can buy him out. Primary custody of Olivia, $1,200 monthly child support, and $800 monthly spousal support for 18 months while I rebuild my career. Zach was furious, but his own behavior had killed his credibility with the judge. This is insane. She manipulated the system. Mr. Martinez, the only manipulation I see in this courtroom is your attempt to exclude your wife from a home she helped purchase and your pattern of financial control. This court will not reward such behavior. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Powerful. Not vindictive, not angry, just in control of my own life again. That evening, Olivia asked me a question that broke my heart. Mommy, are you and Daddy going to live in different houses forever? Yes, sweetheart. But that doesn't mean Daddy doesn't love you. Sometimes grown-ups can't live together anymore, but we both love you very much. Is it because Daddy called the police on you? I took a deep breath. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her father tried to have her mother arrested? Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy's feelings very badly. When people we love hurt us like that, sometimes we can't fix it. But you're not sad anymore. No, baby, I'm not sad anymore. We're going to be okay. And for the first time in months, I actually believed that. We were going to be okay. The next morning, I walked into my manager's office. Sarah, I'd like to apply for the senior marketing director position. Isabella, I was hoping you'd say that. Honestly, you've been ready for this role for 2 years. I think going through what you've been through has actually shown us all how strong and capable you really are. Thank you. I think I'm finally ready to stop playing small. Good, because this company needs women who don't back down from a fight. The promotion came with a $15,000 salary increase, enough to handle the mortgage payments on our $320,000 house without stress, enough to give Olivia stability and show her that her mother wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. That night, as I tucked Olivia into her own bed in her own room, she looked up at me. Mommy, I'm glad we get to stay in our house. Me too, baby. This is our home. Will Daddy ever live here again? No, sweetie. This is just for us now. She smiled and closed her eyes. For the first time in months, She fell asleep without asking about the police or why Daddy was angry. I'm writing this from our kitchen table, my kitchen table now. Olivia is doing her homework next to me, and for the first time in months, I feel peaceful. The divorce will be finalized next week. I've decided to buy out Zach's remaining equity and keep the house. It's Olivia's home, and after everything we've been through, we deserve to stay. My new role as Senior Marketing Director officially started this week. The team welcomed me with enthusiasm, and I realized how much I'd missed feeling professionally valued. Yesterday, my manager Sarah pulled me aside. "Isabella, I want you to know that watching how you handled your personal situation has been inspiring. You never let it affect your work quality, and you showed incredible grace under pressure." "Thank you, Sarah. It means a lot to hear that. I'm putting you on the Morrison account, our biggest client. It's a challenge, but I think you're ready." 5 months ago, I would have hesitated, worried about taking on too much. Now, I accepted immediately. The friend situation sorted itself out, the real ones stayed, and the ones who thought I should just forgive and move on showed their true colors. I'm better off without people who think calling the police on your wife is a minor marital disagreement. My coworker Ashley has become a genuine friend. She invited Olivia and me for dinner last weekend, and watching our girls play together reminded me what normal family interaction looks like. No tension, no walking on eggshells, just laughter and conversation. "You seem different," Ashley told me as we cleaned dishes. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you're not carrying the weight of the world anymore." She was right. I hadn't realized how much energy I'd been spending trying to manage Zach's moods, anticipate his reactions, keep peace in a house that was never really peaceful. Zach is living in an apartment across town. He sees Olivia every other weekend now, unsupervised since he completed his court-ordered classes. Their relationship is slowly healing, though she still asks sometimes why Daddy called the police on Mommy. I tell her that sometimes adults make mistakes when they're scared or angry, but that doesn't make it okay. I want her to understand that people's actions have consequences, even when we love them. Last weekend, she came back from Zach's apartment with a story that both broke my heart and filled me with pride. "Mommy, Daddy said you took his house away from him." "What did you tell him?" "I said it was our house too, because we live there. And that you helped buy it with your money. And what did Daddy say?" "He got quiet. Then he said maybe I was right." Even at 7, she's developing the ability to stand up for truth. That gives me hope. The most surprising development has been my relationship with Mrs. Henderson. What started as neighborly concern has grown into genuine friendship. She comes by for coffee twice a week, and Olivia adores her. "You know," she told me yesterday, "I've been married for 42 years. I've seen a lot of couples go through hard times. What your husband did, calling the police on you like that, I've never seen anything like it. It still feels surreal sometimes. The important thing is how you handled it. You didn't get bitter. You didn't try to poison Olivia against him. You just fought for what was right." Sometimes I wonder if I fought too hard. "Honey, you didn't fight hard enough for years. This wasn't fighting too hard. This was finally fighting back." Her words reminded me of something Dr. Patricia Ramirez had said during the custody evaluation. Self-advocacy isn't aggression. Teaching your daughter that women deserve respect isn't vindictive, it's essential. The financial settlement has given me security I'd forgotten was possible. The $1,200 monthly child support covers most of Olivia's expenses, and the $800 spousal support for 18 months gives me a cushion while I rebuild my career. My new salary means I can handle the mortgage payments on our $320,000 house without stress. But more than financial security, I have something I'd lost somewhere along the way: confidence in my own judgment. For years, Zach had convinced me that my perceptions were wrong, my concerns invalid, my contributions insignificant. The court's validation of my financial contribution felt like vindication of my sanity. Work has been a source of strength, too. The Morrison account Sarah assigned me is challenging but rewarding. Yesterday, I presented a campaign strategy that the client loved, And I realized something important. I'm good at this job. I'd forgotten that while focusing all my energy on trying to fix a marriage that was broken from the start. 3 weeks ago, I ran into Zach's affair partner at the grocery store, the blonde woman Mrs. Henderson had seen on our patio. She looked mortified when she recognized me, but I surprised myself by feeling nothing. No anger, no hurt, just mild curiosity. "You must be Isabella," she said quietly. "Yes. I'm sorry. I didn't know the full situation when it started." "When what started?" "The relationship with Zach. He told me you were separated, that it was just a matter of paperwork." Of course he had. The same manipulation, just a different target. "Well, now you know," I said simply and walked away. Later, I realized that encounter would have devastated me 6 months ago. Now it was just information. I'd moved so far beyond caring about Zach's choices that his lies to other women couldn't touch me. The most important lesson from all this: trust your instincts. When someone shows you who they really are, when they're willing to have you arrested rather than have an honest conversation, believe them the first time. I spent years making excuses for Zach's controlling behavior, telling myself it was just stress or miscommunication. The truth was simpler. He saw me as something he owned, not someone he was partnered with. That $80,000 I contributed, best money I ever spent. Not because it bought me a house, but because it gave me the legal standing to fight back when my own husband tried to erase me from our life together. To anyone reading this who's in a similar situation, document everything, know your worth, and don't let anyone convince you that fighting for respect is the same as being vindictive. Olivia and I are building a new life, and it's better than the old one. Quieter, more honest, and definitely more peaceful. Last night, as I was tucking her into bed, she said something that made me smile. "Mommy, I like our house better now." "Why's that, sweetheart?" "Because nobody yells anymore. And you smile more." She was right. I do smile more. We both do. The house is ours now, so is our future.